Hi, hello everyone. I'm doing double streaming on Facebook and on Instagram. Yay! Okay, so I'm live. And today what I wanted to talk about is actually about femininity and about femininity being expressed in a unique way. So divine femininity is a term which is very popular in our spiritual community. And there are qualities that we can try to embody or we learn about them when we understand that, okay, we are not owning our divine femininity. Okay, I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning because I think it might be a little bit, you might not be familiar. Some of you might not be completely familiar. What is that divine femininity? What is this feminine expression? Well, I was born as a woman and I just am a woman. Is that not enough for me to be feminine, or is that not enough to me be considered as if I'm expressing myself fully as a woman? So to start with, I personally believe that, okay, femininity in these days, especially in our Western society, is out of balance. I think it's the same with the masculine, but there is so much, there is lots of hate towards masculinity and patriarchy and what has happened and what has been done to women. And I think all of these things have a reason for it, and like emotions that are coming up to the surface right now in certain groups of women who have been suppressed for a long time has valid reason to be there. My talk today, however, is there are reasons that are probably higher design. There is also a process of learning why we as a humanity, as a species, why we were out of balance is the same as a child. We don't know how to walk properly at the very beginning. When we are born, we develop, we learn, we do the errors, we try, and then we actually learn how to do it properly. So I think when it comes to how to be a woman, it's also something that is not necessarily completely there for us to know instinctively right away. I think what happens to us, so my topic is not so much to concentrate about what has happened and why things has happened, but about what can we do and how we can help ourselves and humanity and our fellow women to bring femininity in a healthy balance, in a healthy state. So, okay, so basically, each of us who are women, who were born as a woman, we are born as a woman, and I'm talking about general, let's say not the exceptions where there might be a woman born in a man's body, but let's just talk about, or let's say my focus is about the general group of women, us women who were born as women, and we are women, but we are born in the countries, and then we find it very hard to actually to live in this world. And it is hard for us because we are functioning in a society which demands us to be exactly the same as men, in the sense that, for example, we have to work all throughout the month with output of the same energy level. So the design, let's say even the normal job design, if you work somewhere, if you're employed, does not allow for cyclical rest on a monthly basis. So basically, that's just one example. There are some other expectations and some other things that brings us out of balance, but we are not really, most of us in Western society, we are not really trained or educated gender specifically. And gender specifically, this is not to say that one gender is better than the other, none of that. It's just to say that there are things that are unique for us as women, and we need to respect that and we need to honor that. And if we don't, we get out of balance, we get tired, we get exhausted, we don't want to create. And when we don't want to create, we don't create. And when we don't create, we become depleted of our natural energy, our natural feminine energy, and then we go into survival mode. So, and the solution for that is not to force ourselves to create. The solution for that, my personal opinion, is to rest and allow ourselves recharge, so then we can start to actually get to know what is needed for us and how it would look like for us to function in a healthy way. So, okay, so that's the part about the femininity and about where to even start to get our feminine energy in a balance. But personally, I believe the number one biggest enemy for women to embody the feminine energy, the healthy feminine energy, is exhaustion, is tiredness. Because while we can cope with the stresses and while we can handle situations that requires intense level of focus, concentration, management, we are cyclical creatures more than, for example, the man, more than other creatures. Let's say creatures, I say creatures in a friendly way. So we are created in a way that our nature is very cyclical, and this cyclicality is very obvious because when we look at the monthly basis, when we look at our design is to have a monthly cycle. So even before that happens, or even after we stop having the cycle, we are designed to have it. So our bodies are designed to function in the waves. If you are interested in, I think it's called something like a biorhythms or something. I think there is something like that as well. But what I'm talking about is just the pure biological side of cycles, monthly cycles, moon cycles in the nature, monthly cycles for us. So we and moon cycles, we are very cyclical in a way that we can see it not so much in the seasons. In the seasons, we can see it in all species and all nature, but in ourselves as women, we can see it every single month. We have this energy high during time of our ovulation, and then we have this energy low, or preparing to have our energy low, just before our period, and then during period we supposed to go into kind of not necessarily hibernation, but kind of like an introverted space where we allow our body to renew itself and to recharge itself. So there is no one specific way of being a woman. There is no one specific way of embodying divine feminine. Your specific way to do that is written in you, in your nature. Even if you look, for example, tools like astrology, if you look at your design from astrological perspective, you find that, let's say, there are Venus, planet Venus, which is planet that is associated with the femininity, and each of us will have our Venus in one of the 12 signs. So already, like, even before we go in our individual character and in our individual unique biology, we already have a differentiation in 12 different types. So for example, if your Venus is in Pisces, you're going to be completely different as a woman in your healthy expression as another woman whose Venus is, for example, in Aries. My Venus, for example, is in Scorpio. So that means it's my intensity, is my depth, there is this kind of level of fierceness and darkness that defines my brand of femininity. So that's, for example, that's one example that I can share with you in my, how it comes up in my life. However, my emotional self, for any of you who's watching and who can get hold on your astrological chart, if you look at the emotional side from astrology point of view, if you look at your moon sign. So for example, my moon sign is in Pisces. That means my emotionality is very, very kind of boundless, very limitless, very intuitive, but it will come across completely different. Like for example, when someone's moon is in Leo, which would be super kind of like a extroverted, super out there, super kind of center of the party. So these are only two things that I have mentioned, and these are only two aspects that you can look at if you wanted to start defining, or let's say start finding your particular brand of femininity, and to kind of understand, like, instead of holding some woman as an ideal of how women should look like, looking at yourself, at what is, first of all, almost like a inner design for you. What is your energetic pattern as a woman to embody in this lifetime? So that's from the higher kind of perspective, and this is from astrological perspective. But if you don't like any of that, or if you don't have knowledge, or you don't have interested, if you don't have any interest in that, you don't even need to look at any of that. You can actually connect with your own brand of femininity by connecting to yourself, by connecting to your heart, and most importantly, by connecting to your womb. So you can establish a relationship with your womb. And once you start talking to your womb, you can start hearing what your womb is telling you. And what you will find, the instructions that you are getting from your womb are going to be instructions that helps you to be healthy as a woman and thrive as a woman. I think, to me personally, the subject of femininity and healthy feminine is so important, because it was not something that was important, or it was not something that was learned or taught, or it was not something that I heard about like when I was growing up. So there was nothing specific so much about how to be a healthy woman, apart from the things that my mom said from her experience, or my grandmother said from her experience. What my grandmother said was to save money and to make sure I have money. What my mom said was to make sure I travel the world and I don't get married and I don't have children in an early age, make sure I live life for myself. So those were instructions that I got how to be a woman in my very early programming, that I have not learned, and I have not found out, and I have not read anything about it until I probably was in my early 30s. And only then, when I started discovering the topic and the subject, divine feminine, how to be a woman, I was like, wow, there is some kind of material about that. There is some kind of like instructions or guidance or teachings about that. I never thought that you would need to learn how to be a woman, But I think on one hand, maybe we don't need to go in a school, but on other hand, what we need to do for sure is to connect with our inner truth, with our inner uniqueness, and start honoring that. So yes, so basically, I also, another interesting discovery that I got when I was learning about divine feminine, I was learning, okay, what the divine feminine looks like. And I was going through those lists of like, okay, the softness, the gentleness, the nurturing, the caring, introversion, renewal, birth, creativity, all of these things, cooking, dancing, painting, all of these things that you read that are associated with the typical or let's say womanly woman in different cultures. But but after like years and years reading about it, listening about it, watching videos about it, I have come to conclusion that there is no one kind of like a recipe that would absolutely fit all the women, how to be in your healthy femininity, how to embody your sacred feminine, except by experimenting yourself, except by checking and testing out all of these ideas and seeing what actually works for you. So there is no one thing that would absolutely be definite for all women, apart from the fact that all of us were born with a womb. So it is my personal assessment and experience that when we start to connect and honor our womb, we start to be more and more in tune with our health, with our sexuality. And the sexuality, I mean, in every single sense, not just the physical act of sex, but also our life force, like our radiance, our charisma, our creativity, like life creating force, life force. So that's what I wanted to share with you. If you are a woman who don't like cooking, or if you are a woman who don't like painting, or you are a woman who don't like to have a long hair, or you are a woman who don't like to be passive, don't worry about it. Maybe those qualities are not for you. Maybe you have your own personal way of being a woman, and I guarantee that you do. And to start, first of all, getting in touch, apart from the tools that I have mentioned, like, for example, astrology, checking out where your Venus is, checking out where your moon is. First thing to do would be kind of get yourself quiet, like get yourself quiet in a space where you no longer are in like, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this and this is my duty and this is my duty, and if I'm not going to do this, everything is going to collapse. So first step is actually start resting more, because once you're going to start resting more, I guarantee you're going to like it. Like one of the messages that I get from my womb is almost every time when I connect to my womb, the message that I get and the instructions that I get is like, relax, calm down, rest, relax, calm down, rest. It's okay. Don't worry. You're fine. So you will even get this kind of encouragement to give yourself that time, to give yourself that rest. And if you haven't tried connecting to your womb, I have another video how to connect to your womb, which you can watch if you want to know how to do it. It's actually very simple. You don't need to do anything super crazy. And also, I have a program called Radiant Womb Woman. If you're interested, it's in my bio. You can check it out. But please do not get discouraged if you are starting to get interest in divine femininity and you read all of that description and you realize that you are completely different. That might not be your way and your prescription on how to be in a healthy embodiment of womanhood for you. There are plenty ways that you can be healthy as a woman. But the first thing is to allow yourself time to rest, allow yourself time to quiet down, and allow yourself time to connect with yourself, with your true essence, with your heart, with your womb, and start listening to what your body and what your feminine essence is telling you. All of us, we have that. Every single of us have that, and every single of us have this in a very unique way. Okay, so that was my video for today. I actually been doing videos on a daily basis sometime before, then I did twice weekly, and then at some point I was like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna rest and I'm gonna see what works best for me. Because if I don't do rest, what I found, I exhaust myself with the responsibilities and with things that I put on my list. So I'll see you next time. And another thing that I wanted to share with you, I was tired. And I didn't want to produce any content. And I did not force myself to produce any content because I knew that if I'm producing myself, if I'm producing content for my audience, for you, when I'm in exhausted state, it's like I'm not walking my talk. And if I'm walking my talk, what I'm doing is I'm honoring my health. I'm honoring my well-being. So apologies if some of you expected more content from me in the last few weeks, but that was my rhythm, and that was my kind of guidance to kind of be a bit more introverted and recharge. And also I need to do this for myself so I can help you to learn how to manage to do it. And I know that some of you are probably don't even know how to stop this endless cycle. And I already learned how to do it. It's a bit difficult when you first started, but it's absolutely possible for every single one of you, for every single one of us. And furthermore, is something that we absolutely have to do if we want to be healthy, radiant women. So thank you for your attention and your time. Have a beautiful weekend whenever you are. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. And I have 2 places to switch off. I don't know which one to do first. See you next time.